it's Alicia, and I am back with a new review. I keep saying that I want to do something different, but that has yet to come. And I read a book that I really wanted to talk about. If you've seen it on Instagram, you'll know, but if not, it is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. It is a young adult novel, and I know I've said that I don't really want to review young adult novels, but I really wanted to talk about this one for mainly what it has done. I feel like I'm going to get more into talking about young adult as a whole as opposed to so much the book, but it does stem from this book, so I count it as alright. A friend of mine recommended this book to me, and I didn't really read what it was about before I decided I need to read it because it has Geek in the title and it's listed as an LGBT novel on Goodreads, so that was basically all I needed to know that I was probably going to love this book, and probably the main reason why my friend recommended it to me. So yeah, this is what I am talking about. So Jen Wilde, the author, is Australian and a self-proclaimed geek. She writes about zombies and witches and of course fangirls. Which her main platform that she writes on is Wattpad and what's known as Swoon Reads. So first of all, if you don't know Wattpad, it's a free service where people can post their works. There's fan fiction, young adults, just straight up fiction, romance, there's everything. Basically, you post and you can do it all at once, or you can do chapter by chapter, and people can go on and comment and like and all that sort of thing. So that's where her main series, the Ava series, is on. I don't know why that was quoted, but it's just called the Ava series, and it is a zombie apocalypse style of story. And so Queen of Geeks got its start from Swoon Reads, and as far as I can tell from my little research, Swoon Reads focuses on young adult novels, I believe just fiction, and it's basically you upload your story and people will rate, share, comment, and I'm assuming it's the favorites that get the Swoon Read publishers will work with to get their books actually published. So it's kind of where Wattpad is sparingly, I think, people get published. It's more of like a self-publishing platform. Swoon Reads is specifically trying to get you published. Also, I apologize for all of the word trip-ups that I've just done. Apparently I can't speak and will probably continue to do so for the rest of this video, although I will try harder. So that's where Queens of Geek came from. And my own personal thing, Wattpad, first of all, is Canadian, so I have a slight bias towards it, but some of the novels that I've been given, like I've read from Wattpad, I thought were just like awful on several different levels. But I also know I have friends who post on Wattpad and they love it. So I feel like on Wattpad you really need to dig for the good ones sometimes, because what's most prominent might not be the best, but there's so many different stories on it. And if you're interested in, first of all, writing or reading, I would totally suggest you go on there because you can find some great things. And maybe you can find some of my other friends' works on there and you can, love them because I know they're very passionate writers. And the one thing that Wattpad does is it gets you readers. I mean, you're public and people will see you, and that's exciting. You don't have to wait to be picked up if you really want to get published. Although publishing is great, you can get readers right away and chapter by chapter. So that's something to look into if you want, and I guess Swoon Reads as well, which I just found out about, but seems kind of cool. So, on to the actual book. So, on the front you'll see 3 friends, 2 love stories, and 1 convention. This is basically a group of 3 Australian friends go to LA for, I think it's called SupaCon, which is basically Comic-Con. But in this, it's different. So One of them has been invited. She's in a popular movie and she's a very popular vlogger. So she gets invited and she has to do a whole bunch of press, and she has to deal with the fact that she has to do it all with her ex-boyfriend, who it was basically a terrible relationship, a terrible public breakup, and now she's faced with him, and she's faced with all of these fans who ship them and they want them back together, as well as dealing with her own attraction to another vlogger. And then the other two friends are kind of left on their own to have fun, and is told in the story of the one friend and her kind of love and desire to be with her, male friend. So I know that's a very brief overview, but I don't like getting too much into synopsis because I always am so scared that I ruin something. Basically, it's just a cute little nerdy romance, and there's so many nerd references. It makes me so happy. Honestly, on the first page, it talks about they walking in, and there's Groot, Jessica Jones, and Darth Vader, and Malcolm Reynolds, and Marty McFly, which is kind of right away. I mean, as soon as you read Malcolm Reynolds in any book, you're automatically in love with it if you're as big of a nerd as me. So the fangirl aspect is really my largest, I think, love of it. I really loved the nerd culture of it and how it really addressed what nerd culture and book series like Harry Potter and all of this other nerd stuff can do for people who are not necessarily the most socially inept people, or are just awkward and uncomfortable with people and crowds. And sometimes novels and movies or graphic novels or whatever is your vice can just really be helpful. You can read yourself in books and feel like you're not alone, and you can live all of these grand adventures, and that's fantastic for somebody who prefers to not actually be amongst all of those. And sure, you can know that you would never do well in the Hunger Games, but reading it and feeling like you are encouraged by Katniss, you can be like, yeah, I totally have that badassdom that she has. That's helpful, even if you know deep down that you would probably be the first one to go in the Hunger Games, as I do myself. So the one character of, Taylor, really, she's kind of that character. The one, she hates crowds and is very uncomfortable in them, but her fandom, Queen Firestone, she talks about how it helped her and how it showed her courage, and that's really important, and any book can do that, and I really love that aspect of it, and how important things like that in fandom can be. Sometimes it gets brushed off, the crazy nerds, but I think, it's important to look at how a series affected somebody. So that was one of the great things about this book. Another, obviously, thing that I loved was the LGBT characters. Now, at first when I got this book, I just assumed it was going to be a geeky lesbian, but it wasn't. The main character, Charlie, was bi, which is great, and she seemed like an actual, real bisexual character. And I say that when I usually read bi characters in books, it's more so they started out with a boyfriend and then they meet a girl and she's everything that they wanted and it's different than a boy. And while their sexuality is never mentioned, they never say that they're bi or lesbian due to the fact that they start out with a male. Sometimes it's just, you just assume that they're bi, but they're still I don't know, this unrealisticness to it. So what I love about this book is there's no meeting a girl and realizing that, you know, really she just loved girls all along. You know, it says that, you know, she read the description of what bi was online when she was younger and was like, oh hey, like that's me. And it's something that she kind of just went along with. Or not went along with, sorry, that was weird choice of words, but she was never quiet about her sexuality. She never felt uncomfortable with it. And she's somebody who, when she is attracted to this female blogger, doesn't have inner struggle, inner doubts about it being a female. It's just there. And I think that's important. And there's also, he talks about one of my pet peeves. Okay, I identify as pansexual. Basically, it means that I don't really give a shit about what your gender is. I just like the person. Gender is kind of secondary. But that being said, I have never actually been in a relationship with a woman. I have never done more than just kiss a woman. And commonly, I get asked all the time, how do you know if you like a girl? What happens if you know, have sex with a girl and you realize you don't like them? And it's really frustrating for me. I get asked that so much. And you know, how many times do, like, so, sorry, let me kind of like collect my thoughts, but I feel like most straight people know that they are attracted to the opposite gender before they've had sex with them. I mean, I knew I liked men when I was a kid. I didn't need to kiss or have intimacy with them to know that. So it's just this weird thing that commonly gets attached to bisexuality, pansexuality, or I'm sure probably even homosexuality. So is that if you haven't experienced it, how do you know? I know I don't need to, you know, kiss a woman in a big romantic gesture to know that I am interested in a woman. And that's addressed. The character of Charlie in the beginning of the book has never had a relationship with a woman. And so she gets asked, you know, when she talks about being bi to someone, you know, they say, but you've never been with one. And it addresses how kind of ridiculous that is. And during that whole part, I was very much, you know, praising this author and this character for addressing that. So that was one of my main parts that I was very happy with. And so now, that was very, that was a lot to do with one character. So now this other character of Taylor, she is very much the opposite of Charlie. And I think that's the point. Charlie is meant to be this big, larger than life character. She's the vlogger. She loves being around people and with people. And then Taylor is very, you know, drawn back. And it does deal with mental illness and anxiety, which is what Taylor has, and it's how she struggles with it. And it was done in a very, I am trying to think of the best word. It was done in a really understanding way. And I read it and I knew, I understood, and it was, you know what she's going through. And you also realize, and I really hope this isn't a spoiler, I don't think it is, it's just kind of another layer to her character, that she does register on the autism scale, which is another fantastic thing. But she's not, in no place in the book is she supposed to be this like mecca of, look at how great this character is and she's autistic. It's just kind of another layer to her character. and it still shows that she can function. I know I've read a lot of novels and seen a lot of TV shows that have characters with mental disabilities that are sometimes, you know, they're made that, and that is their defining feature, and that is kind of all they are known for. Whereas this character is just another layer to her. And I really, really enjoyed that. So overall, I mean, this book really did address so many different aspects that I think are really important. And I was really happy with that. I will be honest that the writing is nothing special. Sometimes it's very vague. It doesn't get into too much, you know, detail about what things look like, and there's a lot of cheesy parts, and I'm not super in love with how the pages are laid out. I don't know if you can see, but I just feel like the writing's really big and the margins are huge, and it feels like you're reading a kid's novel. Oh, that page had something about being bi on it. I'm still bi. Anyway, that's besides the point. But I think for what it does, I think that what it talks about is really important. So, I mean, I bought this, but after doing research, of course, which I should have done before, I'm pretty sure you can read it on Wattpad. I'll see if I can link it, and I'll link it below, and maybe if you want to read it, if you're not totally convinced because I just told you that the writing was just like meh, maybe let's see if you want to read it online, and you can look at some of her other works that deals with zombies, which seems cool. You can also find it there, or maybe you just really want to know more about Wattpad because it's kind of cool. So anyway, that's what I have to say for this one. I want to thank my friend, who I'm not going to name because I don't know if she's cool with that. But thank you for recommending this to me. There was so many parts of it that I just hit me, and I liked it, and it's an adorable book. So, you know, to me, writing doesn't have to always be spectacular. If it's entertaining, to me, that's good enough. All I need is entertainment. And that's what this book, I felt, did. So I just want to say goodbye, and I hope everyone is having a fantastic time reading, and I will speak to you shortly. Bye!